Welcome to the Ultimate Fighting Chat podcast, UFC 259. We're going to be discussing the main event now. The main event, not the main event, the main card. Not just the main event, the whole thing, the main card. We've been away for a little while, and I know we're all excited about the return, and we're going to try and make sure we keep this a bit more regular. We'll do our best. So let's have a chat about it. Should we go just straight into it and not messing about, or what?
Yep. Get straight into it. No messing about.
All right. The first fight on the main card of UFC 259 was Thiago Hammerchest Santos versus Alexander Rakic. Yeah. Weren't very good, this fight, was it?
That's what I was going to say, yeah. Boring fight, crap fight.
Considering the two participants.
Yeah, it's kind of more what I expected from Rakic. But Santos was, for a guy who's usually in exciting fights and explosive fights, he was too, too inactive. And obviously Rakic, Hammerchest ain't the kind of guy that you're going to go into the hornet's nest with unless you're really forced to.
Yeah.
So obviously it's just decided to, if you like, point fight to a degree. And Santos, every round I thought, now this is the round Santos is going to kind of explode and sort of put a bit of a concerted effort together. And he didn't, and they made for a really dull fight, boring spectacle. As far as I'm concerned, both of them took themselves out of the shot window for the next title shot. I wouldn't give it to either of those blokes. I know Glover's next in line anyway, but they definitely, to me, both their stocks fell from that fight.
Well, yeah, I agree. There was nothing to like. There's not even anything to discuss on that fight. And now it happened. The commentary team were going on about Santos's lack of activity or tentative because of his knee surgeries and all that, wouldn't they? That he wouldn't be confident. But, there could be some truth in it. How do I know? But it don't matter. He got in there. The agreement is to get in and have a smash, and they didn't have a smash. Not so surprised by Rakic because he's tentative anyway, and he's powers. But look at him in say Anthony Smith fight; he kept away and just kicked him in the calves and all that. So, like you say, you don't expect him to be a wildfire sort of bloke. But Santos,
I think why would he have gone into harm's way when he was winning the fight out of harm's way? I mean, no one would go into harm's way with Thiago Santos unless they had to. And,
it's not worth it. Yeah,
Rakic fought a smart fight, won the fight.
Did
Santos did absolutely nothing. It would have been one of those fights where if I was one of his cornermen, I'd have been pounding the mat, going, for flip's sake, do something. At the end of every round, I'd have just, I'd been giving him one of those run-of-the-mill pep talks. Think about your kids and all that crap that they come out with.
Yeah.
But it was. I appreciate that you might not have full confidence in your body after having surgeries. Now we chatted about that before, didn't we? After one of the amazing things about Anderson Silva after he broke his leg against Weidman was the mental strength he showed in still throwing leg kicks, still throwing kicks with full force, still throwing loads of push-ups. And to me, that, as you know, I was never the biggest Anderson Silva fan. And it's stuff like that makes me go, I am a big Anderson Silva fan now, because he's shown something that is just not in 99.9% of human beings. 99.9% of human beings are, cautious, self-preservationist and all that sort of stuff. And he didn't. He went, well, I'm in here to have a punch up and that's what I'm going to do. So he's brilliant. Santos got him its hits. Rakic done what he did. But as far as I'm concerned, he damaged his stock from being sort of like a young, upcoming contender to being a bit like, oof, would I want to be in a fight?
But hang on though, because a minute ago you said he did not the right thing, but it didn't make for an exciting fight. But you understood why he did what he did.
Yeah.
So, why is he stopped going down then? just because it weren't exciting. Because at the end of the day, like you said, why would he have a real smash up with Santos? Because he's likely to get his head smashed off. So isn't it just one of those fights where he just did what he needed to do to get the win, to get through, easily the toughest bloke that I can remember that he's fought? Is it not just the right thing? Stock goes down, what, UFC wise, both, or just the fans? What are we saying? What's the consequences for a boring fight for you? And come from fans and come from you're the head of the UFC.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to sell. Tyron Woodley suffered from it during his title reign. It's difficult to sell an event when you haven't got a highlight reel to put together. Obviously, Rakic has, because he blasted Jimmy Manuwa into orbit. But, you can't just keep playing the same bit over and over again. It's just, a lot of the time you're looking for exciting fighters. That's why fans love people like, I don't know, Cerrone and Nate Diaz. Those guys haven't got records of 12-1 and 20-0. They lose fights. They go to about a win 6, 7 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah.
But they're still massively popular to fans. Easier to sell events on the back of, rather than even a Tyron Woodley. And we saw it with Demetrius Johnson. I mean, that guy was amazing and even got finishes. And people,
he's brilliant.
Yeah,
easy, one of the best fighters ever. I just don't get it.
Yeah, one of the most complete, well-rounded smash-up blokes ever. But
amazing.
That's what I'm saying with Rakic is I think, like you say, he was tentative against Lionheart Smith, but he was amazing against Jimmy. The finish of Manuwa was amazing.
It's when he booted his head off, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Booted his head off, didn't he?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
that was nasty, that.
He's just, I don't know, he's just running at a bit of a, he seems to be, a lot of his fights seem to be cautious affairs. You either fall into one of his traps and he blasts you out, or it's a bit of a staring contest. And, it's difficult to sell pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff on the back of that stuff. So that's what I'm saying, he damaged his brand, I think, a little bit. It's difficult to call for title shots when you've had, like I say, a boring staring match. And like you said, the Anthony Smith fight was a dull affair as well. So
I quite liked that one. I mean, it weren't exciting. I quite liked that one because of the noise every time he kicked his leg. It made a big crack noise. I like that. It was good. But
yeah, like every time Glover gets in there, you're guaranteed Glover's going to get wobbled, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. But he's also definitely just going to grab you and somehow just fall on top of you. And when he falls on top of you, he smashes faces in. And so I don't even know. Has Glover ever even been in one boring fight?
No, not that I can remember.
Yeah.
And they're all brilliant.
Yeah. So like, obviously Glover is in line anyway because he's the number one contender. But then, in the time that, say, Glover has to fight with, Blachowicz, let's just say one of the other guys at light heavyweight has a really amazing fight and an amazing performance, I'd just be more inclined to go, I'll give them the next shot over Rakic.
All right. Well, you're saying that because, let's have a look, their rankings. So,
Rakic is
Santos
2.
number 2. Santos was 2 at the time, and Rakic was number 4. So he beat him. Are you saying that Rakic is is he 2 now? Is he?
Yeah, they've swapped now. So Rakic is 2, Santos is 4.
Right. Okay. So what we're saying then for Rakic, he won. He beat. Let's face it, he beat one of the best. Even you can say whatever you want. Yeah, but it was a crap version. Whatever. That's not his fault. He got in there and he done him. He still beat him convincingly, as in he won that fight, right? Yeah. Who's he fighting next then? If you're not going to give him the title shot because he's boring, you're in charge.
I'm not say that to his face, yeah.
No, of course not. It isn't. I mean, it's a bit of a problem because he will listen to it. So he'll know you've said it, but just don't say it to his face. It's not to his face. So virtually, he's boring. Who are you going to give him then if he's not getting a title shot? I know he's not because of Glover, but if Glover say he was injured or something, then what?
The truth is the division is bereft of top contenders. So by default, he's going to if Glover had to pull out of his title fight, you'd have to slip Rakic in. There's no one else you could put in really. I think Who else have you got there? You got Dominic Reyes. He's coming off a loss, isn't he? To Blachowicz. That you couldn't sell that. Santos is coming.
Maybe he should fight Rakic then. Reyes.
Well, you could make that, but then if Reyes beats Rakic, it's a hard sell to do Dominic Reyes Blachowicz too, because Blachowicz beat him so convincingly. So honestly, I think if he was in most other divisions, lightweight, welterweight, bantamweight, featherweight, you know, he might have to have one more before getting a title shot, but he's in light heavyweight, so he's basically guaranteed it, I think. I just don't see who else you can put in there ahead of him. But even though, despite what I just said, so there you go. So Glover first, Rakic next. Not really much more you can say. Who else are you going to give it to? Anthony Smith? No, forget it. Santos? No. Reyes got blazed. There's a couple of people sort of like on the way up coming through, but no. It would have to be Rakic. Just it wouldn't be main event. I'd have him as, you know, co-main. Have 2 title fights on that night.
And to make sure I understand why John Jones thought, I'll leave this now. Now doing here.
You do look at that division, and I do think he really did. If you know that term, cleared out the division, he really did. I mean, there's obviously people in that division. His last few wins weren't that convincing, right? Santos won, the Reyes won. They weren't convincing victories. But you look at that division, and I think the only person, I can't think of anyone he didn't actually really do in that division of note or relevance.
All right. Well, just have a look at these stats here for this fight. We've said that we thought it was a bit dull. And it says here that total strikes for the whole fight, so for the full 15 minutes, yeah? I'm going to go through it round by round. We'll just add them up. And we'll see if we think it sounds like an exciting fight, which we've not done before. So I'd have to look at another fight and compare it. But it says that Santos, 61 total strikes. And
well, that's attempted, yeah?
Correct. Did you want just significant then? Is that more?
No, just total strikes. So you're saying he threw 61 strikes in the whole fight?
Correct. And Rakic, 50.
Right, so basically 20 around.
No takedowns or anything like that, so we can't go, but he took him down. 0 takedowns.
Yeah,
0.
17 strikes from Rakic and 20 from Santos on average in each round. 5-minute rounds. So it's one strike attempted every 15 seconds, give or take.
Well, there you go.
From each of them. And look, someone might hear that and go, oh, well, you know, that doesn't sound bad. But honestly, if you just count out, you know what, I'm going to count out 15 seconds, right? And we'll see how long that is of just pure silence. Because it's ages, 15 seconds. And in a fight, it's even worse.
All right.
So groundbreaking podcasting here. We're going to have 15 seconds of silence. You ready?
Yeah.
So Rakic and Thiago Santos have just exchanged jabs. And now there's nothing else going to happen after I say jab. Okay, because they're both going to throw a jab.
Okay.
Right. Jab. Jab.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretending that I was watching a fight, you know, saying on my screen, I was pretending I was watching something going, but I've got to try and say in my mind that nothing's happening on the screen.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you go, okay, you have those periods. You know, sometimes in the first round you have a feeling out process. There might even be a minute, maybe even sometimes 2 minutes where no strikes get thrown, you know, where people are sort of like establishing their range or throwing feints or this, that, and the other. But that is for 15 minutes. Well, that little exercise we just done there. You know, that's no feeling out process. That's no sort of, somebody caught somebody or got someone up against the cage and decided to throw, you know, knees into the thigh for, you know, that's nothing. You know, sometimes that happens, you know, where you get into a clinch and they're just throwing little knees into the thigh or foot stomps.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that's getting the strike count up. It's not real strikes kind of thing or
well, then let's go for real strikes. We'll use your data numbers head and we'll do it for significant strikes. Because as you said, that's just throwing stuff out, hoping it sticks. Some does, some don't. So Santos, whole fight again, 49. And whole fight, Rakic, significant strikes, 36. I mean, way worse. I mean, he won this fight.
Yeah, well, that means Santos done through 16 around significant strikes, and Rakic through 12 around. So I mean, that is, that's like it's basically 2 a minute from Rakic.
Yeah, I mean, you've got good maths, haven't you? Because it does actually break it down here for round. So Santos, it's significance. It's 15, then 11, then 23, and for Rakic, it's 14, 15, and in the last round 7. He won this fight though. It's weird, isn't it?
You're basically looking at they're landing about or throwing about three significant strikes a minute or so. I mean, it's just
so now it happened. So we were right then. It felt boring, and it was.
Yeah, we didn't need to dissect the data to know that was a shit fight. That was pants. That was.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean about both of them. Their stock went down from that fight. That's all I can say on it.
Well, then
we can analyze numbers all we want, but
that's it. Well, we're going to move on from it then because we've been nice to that fight, even though we've been nasty verbally.
It didn't deserve more than 20 seconds of our time, and it's ended up getting about 20 minutes. So
yeah, and the 15 watching it.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's bad qual from them. So yeah, that weren't great. So they're banned. At this point, Olivi came out, and I don't know if you remember, but she had these really disgusting silver high Simon Cowell trousers on. Bloody awful. Terrible. On telly. They were all high up, and they were silver.
Well, I didn't see them. I don't remember them.
Bad.
You've become a bit of a trouser aficionado, it seems, in your older years, because I can't meet up with you without having my trousers scrutinised. If I'm not getting told off for my knob showing in a pair of tracksuit bottoms, I'm getting told off that my arse looks crap in a pair of jeans, or that the bottom of my jeans don't go over the top of my trainers properly. So I'm not surprised she's fallen foul of your very high trouser criteria.
It's right. You're funny you should say that because I didn't mention anything else. Yeah.
If you were on the side of the octagon, this is amazing. What do you think you'd wear? That do you think that you would look at you and talk on a podcast and go, "Oh yeah, he looked good on the side of the bench"?
No, but I wouldn't.
Okamoto looks good. You seem to like Okamoto's look more than you do Olivi's.
I do like his. I don't like his look. I like it more than hers, though. I certainly wouldn't wear silver trousers, and they certainly wouldn't be up to me boobs. Wouldn't do it. They'd just be normal. They'd just be trousers.
The fact that you've got boobs.
Oh yeah.
It all.
Yeah, it's true.
At least he's been to have them, huh?
Yeah, that's right. But I wouldn't highlight them by going, look, just look straight under my boobs. There's my belt line. I wouldn't do that. So no good.
That high sort of trouser line. So.
Yeah, it will look crap. You know what I mean? So bad trousers. But yeah, I didn't realise that I was into trousers. But maybe you're right. You've highlighted that, and maybe you're right. Well, they were bad trousers anyway.
MMA's answer to Gokwan.
Ooh, I hope not. Blimey, O'Reilly, he's bad quality him. Jeez.
That's the thing is he does that showing how to make people look good, and he looks trash.
He does, doesn't he?
I know I look crap, right? But I'm not on the show going, "Hey everybody, let me dress you up. I'll make you look good," because I know about fashion and stuff.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? So it's all good. But
and
if
the thing
I
is,
was on, I'd expect people to look at me and go, "Well, I can see your willy in those tracksuit bottoms.
Yep.
And it looks rubbish, and your beard's pathetic, and you've got spots on your face." I'd expect to come under scrutiny for the way I look if I'm on the show. Looks, but
don't forget though, if you're going on the show and you're standing on the side of the octagon doing chats, they would put whatever makeup on, probably bang a wig on you.
Well, they're bang a wig on me.
Well, just to even things out.
They don't bang a wig on Dana, do they?
No, but he's like not standing on the side of the octagon on display. It's not a display. No, but not for display, just for chat. You would be there for display. Olivia's there for display, mate. Otherwise, they would just get. I can't think of someone. They would just get someone who isn't for display. She's there for display, and she's still got rotten trousers on. Now, it might not be her fault, right? Because someone would dress you or me up and go, "Look, you look great," and we would know we look crap. Worse than normal. Worse than knob trousers. Worse.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, I have finished on that fight, but I'm just going to say one thing. DC and Rogan both had a dig about Rakic getting his brown belt at the end of that fight. And they said,
weren't that embarrassing?
no, you see, I don't. Hang on, right?
Yeah, embarrassing when he done the scream and the cry. It was almost like they just broke some really traumatic news to him.
Okay, right. All right. So you sort of agree with those two then?
He got a brown belt by avoiding the ground for 15 minutes.
No, you see, this thing. I don't agree, right? Because they said that there was literally no jiu-jitsu in that bout at all. Yet he got a brown belt. I thought that was a bit harsh because to me, it's just the coach has chosen that moment to award him the brown belt, right? It was nothing to do with whether he done any jiu-jitsu or not. He was quite frankly just awarding it to him because he's on telly in a moment, make it memorable and stuff like that.
That's right,
But they've kind of taken that away if they ever watch that memorable moment because you've got two blokes, one who's really loves jiu-jitsu and an ex-fighter, both going, well, he got awarded brown belt and he literally done no jiu-jitsu at all. So they kind of ruined it for him. But I thought that was a bit harsh. It's like, so what? He's, it's just a moment to choose.
I agree with everything you've just said there about it. That I understand that he will have secured that brown belt in the gym, training in the gym, doing other sort of stuff. And like you say, rather than just give it to him on a cold Wednesday night after training practice, they gave it to him after he secured, the biggest win of his career. So
yeah,
I get it. But and I don't understand why they had a problem with that, because people have been given belts in the cage loads of times in fights where they haven't really shown anything from their grappling.
correct. Yeah,
so it happens all the time. So I agree that they didn't need to make that song and dance over it. It's just the way he reacted, though, was like it's like someone came in and basically just said, well, I won't say because it would just be horrible stuff. That's the way he reacted. Like he just got some terrible news.
Well, anyway, I thought I'd bring it up because it's the most interesting bit of the fight.
It was the most entertaining bit of the fight for me was when he got that belt and he'd done that cry and that little scream and stuff, and it made me laugh. And that was the most enjoyable part of that fight because the rest of it was like watching paint dry.
Guess what? We're still chatting about the first fight.
I know. Yeah.
And then later on, we were wondering.
Just quickly on that. Where I thought this could go either way. Like it felt like Rakic was winning because there wasn't anything happening, but he was at least dictating the center of the octagon, and I guess that's when octagon control comes into play a little bit. But it was one of those fights. If they go to Santos, I don't think there's a single person who would have got bent out of shape over it because, let's be honest, nobody deserved to win it.
That's right. Yeah, no one convincingly said I won that fight, so they couldn't complain, even if it was a bloody draw. Oh, I'm glad it weren't.
Do you think we can get any more mileage out of this fight?
I mean, I definitely could. I'm not going to, though, because it just weren't very good. But no, let's leave that fight now. And we'll move on to the next one. Right. Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober.
Right. I'm going to be quick on this fight.
Oh, okay. All right. Go for it.
There's more interesting stuff to talk about on this card. And also, there ain't much to talk about on this fight other than, there was one thing that Rogan said on the broadcast.
I've got things to say about this fight.
Well, there's one thing that Rogan said on the broadcast that just, there's certain conversations that always happen in this bloody sport. Miocic is the GOAT, pound for pound number one. All these junk conversations that just seem to rear their head. And Rogan just said, Drew Dober is the most underrated fighter in the whole of the UFC, or something like that, words to that effect. And I was like, you mean? How is he? How is he? He ain't been playing his trade in this organisation, knocking off top contenders for donkeys. He's on a good run. He's a good, solid fighter. I actually like him loads. I think he's really good. He's wicked. Got done in this fight easy. But I won't like he's underrated. It's never at any point have I thought Drew Dober's underrated at all.
No,
he was like, he's the most underrated fighter in the UFC. I was like, based on what? I mean, it's just what? To me, it was just something to say to big up the fight. But other than the fact that Drew Dober over the last few fights has obviously decided if he gives up MMA, he wants to go into male modeling or men's health cover or something like that.
Yeah,
His
he's
incredible.
good.
His
Yeah,
new body looks wicked and all that. Outside of that, I thought he had a bad game plan, bad strategy. Got taken down in the first round. Still continued to throw like leg kicks and stuff like that. I wouldn't have, if I was in his corner, I'd have been like, bail on those, bruv. Yeah, I mean, just got done, right? Simple as that. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it.
well, he did get done. It was arm triangle in round 3 by Makachev, right? But it did take until round 3. There's a couple of things I'll pick out of this fight. In round 1, I don't know if you noticed it. I'm guessing you've either forgot because it's been ages, and you did notice it, or you didn't. But Rogan swore in round 1. I've never known that. Now, I rewound it, tried to make.
What swear word?
I'll tell you. So I don't think he's done that before, from what I've heard. I rewound it a few times to make sure. And as far as I'm concerned, he said he's going to get Cruiser effing fixed here.
Right.
But the real version, right?
Mm.
I'm certain of it because I checked. And when I first heard it, I went, he just say that? He definitely did. Rewound it. And as far as I'm saying, it was confirmed. Cruiser effing fixed. Now, I guess it was natural or whatever. But to me, he definitely said it. That's weird that they didn't pick up on it. Nobody picked up on it. I know they have a delay, don't they, on broadcast where they can hear a bit of swearing and attempt to bleep it out. I don't know if it got picked up in his earpiece and someone said something. I don't know if it got just completely missed by the world. It's unlikely. If I've heard it, someone must have commented on it online. Someone must have. But I don't really search the interweb. I don't look at online stuff, so I wouldn't know. But I'd be amazed. Either I'm wrong, but I'd definitely be amazed if I'm the only one who's picked up on it. I mean, I can't be. There's no way.
I've just put it into YouTube, and nothing's come up. I'd have to go down. I've still got a recording. I'd have to go downstairs and
let me know what you think.
Yeah.
I've deleted it now. Then we'll do a bit of research and have a look. But as far as I'm concerned, he said he's going to get Cruiser effing fixed, and it was pretty clear for me. But who knows?
Well, I'll double check it.
All right. Yeah.
Let you know.
Okay. DC and Rogan were both annoying for me in this fight. They're just too much up Makachev's crack. And maybe they know him and I don't. That's fine. But it's just too obvious. The DC teammate thing with those Dagestani blokes, it's just a bit too obvious, I think. It seems a little bit biased when he's commentating on any of their fights. Whenever they're on, he just goes nuts with it. But Rogan was on it and all. Both of them just, I don't know, it was just too much. It was a little bit obvious. If I was sitting there and I was, say, watching it, Dober afterwards or his team afterwards, I'd have been, well, so obviously they think or want to win this fight. I didn't like the way that Rogan said that he thought Dober was just done, was the words he used when he tapped. Like, he's just done. He said it like he quit, right? But does tapping to getting crushed and not being able to breathe mean that you quit? Now, I suppose tapping is a quit. That's you giving up, right? But don't forget, they always say, no, there's no whatever it's called in tapping or whatever, no embarrassment or shame in tapping. But he didn't make it sound like that. He's like, it's the way, don't forget, it's the way it's said. He went, I think he was just done. It's like, no, he tapped out to a submission. He lost the fight. But, I don't think he's just done. So I didn't really like the way it was said. Again, it was too much on the Makachev thing. In the post-fight interview, Rogan said to him, are you surprised how easily you were able to dominate him? And okay, it's a normal question. But again, from the other side, I'd have been watching it going, that's a little bit disrespectful, this. It's, I lasted until round 3. Yeah, I'd lost the fight. But so what? It's too pro-Makachev for me. It was a little bit too one-sided. They don't seem to do that with a lot of other fighters. He seemed to get a lot of shine. Sound a little bit disrespectful to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's good, Makachev, but he's still, like the way they're talking about him, Habib, Mark 2.0, all that kind of stuff, Yeah,
throughout the whole fight, it's just all it was, yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. And I was just, was just watching it going, he's got a hell of a long way to go to prove any of those kind of statements are factual. You know, you look at his UFC record, he's impressive, only lost once in the UFC. He's a victim of the fact he's been very inactive and he's been very stop-starty. And hopefully he can sort of put together a bit more of a consistent run of fights. And I don't doubt that he's, you know, really good, top contender, all those kind of things. But who's he really beaten that you would go, nah, this guy is the real? I'm not saying he's not the real deal.
I don't know.
The amount of shine he's getting, it's like, well, give me his signature win. Who's he knocked out, tapped out, or beaten by decision that you go, wow, he beat so and so. You know, he beat Kamaru. I know he's the wrong weight class, but Kamaru Usman, or he beat, you know, let's just say lightweight. Even sort of like someone like a lightweight, you know, he beat Ali Aquinta, for example. Who's the signature win? Who's the one that makes you? It's now Dober. That's now his signature win. That's his biggest win. I'm not being funny. I don't even think Dober's ranked top 15. You know, he's not beaten anyone. You know, he's not beaten Dan Hooker. He's not beaten.
He was 15, Dober.
He's not beaten Ali Aquinta. He's not. Who's he beaten to warrant all this pretender to the throne stuff?
Well, maybe no one. That's why I said when I said it that maybe they know stuff we don't know because they're in the know, they're in the industry. But we're watching it as fans, so I'm just listening to it, and I have no idea why they're up his crack. But the only thing I think of with DC is I know why he might be so supportive, if you like. But I don't know. It's just, I'm not going to call it uncomfortable. I just thought if I just saw it from the other side and went, this is way pro this guy. You know, before the fight started, when the fight started, no matter what was happening, going to happen, it was, this guy's amazing. He's going to blaze him. That's what it seemed like. It was just all about him.
Like Dober was put there not as a
worthy
potential contender. He was put there as a sacrificial lamb to showcase this. And I do think that Makhachev, I've never been that impressed with him. And when everyone's always been going crazy about him, I'm like, this guy's more famous just for being Khabib's mate and having a photo, you know, of his top off with him in a sauna or whatever. You know, that wicked photo where they're all mates together. And I really like that photo. But you know, obviously you get the people smashing it for the obvious reasons, whatever. But I for me, he's more famous for that, for being Khabib's mate and Khabib saying that he's amazing and going to be the next number one. But like I say, who's he beaten? Who would I look at to go, oh wow, did you know he's beat X, Y, and Z? It's like no one. There's no one on his record that I look at and go, well, this is proof that this guy is the next, you know, champion in waiting. Drew Dober's the first live contender, if you like, that he's beaten in recent time. And look, like I say, maybe he'll fight more regular now and he can actually prove that he's worthy of all this praise. But at the moment, it just seems a little bit like he's getting the big build-up without having earned it quite so much.
But for them, he might have. You know, they know him.
He's definitely good, isn't he? I mean, such an idol. He's really good. But does that mean he can do a Dan Hooker? Does that mean he can do a Kevin Lee? You know, I'd like to see him versus someone like Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee is always up for a smash with everybody. I know.
Is he? He don't do any fights. What's happened to him?
Where he said after his last fight.
Oh, didn't he have some neck surgery or something?
Where he did say he was going to take some time off after his last loss, didn't he? So that was the first thing. Second thing is he got the world's worst tattoo on the back of his head. So,
that's the neck surgery, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he might be taking a lot of time off for that because he might not have stepped out in public. Do you remember it's like a samurai shield on the back of his head?
Yeah, terrible.
It looks... I mean, I haven't seen it recently, you know, since it's calmed down, so maybe it looks better now. But yeah. Anyway, I'd like to see him against someone like a Kevin Lee. If he disposed of someone like a Kevin Lee or a Dan Hooker, then maybe, you know, I'd start getting all aboard the hype train. But for the moment, I'm happy. I'm happy sitting at the station watching the hype train go by. Let's put it like that.
There you go. Yeah. So I said I had a few things to say about it, but not really much about the fight, really, about the chats surrounding the fight. So we'll just move on to the next one. Now, this fight is very interesting. This is Piotr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. So, round one, I gave that to Sterling, right? Now, I think you know why I gave it to Sterling. I gave it to Sterling because he had a massive high output, was just slinging anything at anything. But what I did notice from that was how good Jan's defence is. Because even though Sterling was literally throwing anything, any part of his body, just literally throwing all of his body at him, striking all over the place, which is good. He was smothering him with strikes. I told you, what I picked up on that was how good Jan's defence was. He's blocking most of it, dodging most of it, blocking most of it, seeing most of it. His defence was amazing. Still gave round 1 to Sterling. Round 2 I gave to Jan. Easy. Round 3 I gave it to Jan. One thing I noticed there and wanted to bring up to you was I told you them back sweeps work. And you remember I did one when it was with was in the warehouse and we were doing some kung fu moves, and I told you about the little back sweep, and then Jan did one. You remember it? I demoed you one. I said it was good, and he did one, and it was good to use it in a fight like that, And then round 4 comes.
Outrageous though. Just sorry to interrupt.
That's right.
The run of the mill, Chael Sonnen, grab a leg, ram someone into the cage, put your head in their chest, all that sort of stuff. It's been done and dusted. Everyone knows how to defend it. Everyone, sort of shrimps back to the cage and you can obviously get people who are amazing at it. We just spoke about Makachev, right? He just got Dober down and like in a video game, got him down on his back and dealt with him every time easy. But I just think that those takedowns and that style of wrestling is very, very run of the mill now. It's something that everybody trains, everybody knows, and everybody has at least a reasonable defense against. And I'm saying, we were talking about recently, I'm saying people need to invest more time into these trips, using people's body weight against them, using, sweeps, kicking feet away from underneath people, because that's less run of the mill. That's less trained for,
less expected.
You saw that with Jan, right? Sterling was supposed to be the grappler. I never thought he was going to be able to out grapple Jan in this, but you saw that who was winning the grappling or the takedown exchanges? It was Jan, because even though Sterling was apparently the wrestler, grappler style fighter, Jan had the unconventional takedowns. He was
grappling from
doesn't expect or train against it so much.
Correct.
And so I think that's the way that people have got to go is stuff like these sweeps and trips and unconventional methods of getting people down. Because this just ramming someone into a cage and trying to grab your hands under their backside and lift them up. It's how often does that work these days? Hardly ever. I mean, you've got people like Adesanya, right, who've come from striking backgrounds and they're world champions now in mixed martial arts. And let's be honest, what does he know? The takedown defense wise, he knows to split his legs, right? Being able to grab under his crack. He knows, he's got some good balance. He knows to get to the fence and wall walk. He's learned all that in what? A few years?
Yeah,
a few years. And people who've been doing this stuff all their lives can't get him down on the floor. Blachowicz fight chats incoming, but you know what I mean. So, so I just think that people just, need to invest some more creative ideas. In that.
It's why people like John Jones, when they first come into it, was so, you could see how successful he was because he came in with different stuff. Elbowing off the cage and the spins and the trips, because he was like that, right? When you're grappling that wrestlers do, and it's all the lowering your body weight, steaming in, ramming in. But Jan's grappling was from an upright position, a lot of it, from standing, rather than dropping your weight and slamming into their waist and all that. It wasn't, and putting your head under the armpit so you can get guillotined and all that. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. Yeah, he weren't doing any of that stuff. So you're right. No. It was less expected, a little bit less run of the mill. And you could see, the difference it was having. But then round 4, the illegal knee came. Let's discuss it. This is probably going to take up the majority of the chat, I would think.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just quickly cover. So before this fight, as you know, we both went, this fight isn't even difficult for Jan. This is going to be a massacre. As far as we were concerned.
I never ever understood what the big deal about Sterling should get the next title shot. What is going on? What's wrong with the UFC? Why is he not getting the next title shot? Why this? Why that? Look, he did Sandhagen, right? That was
Yeah,
undeniable, the best one. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing win for him.
That's the best. But they were giving it all the chat. I say they, you know, press, media, whatever, before that. And we both of us could just never understood. It's like, this guy ain't even that good. What's going on? Not the worst fighter ever.
Beat by Caraway, got his face smashed into Rosette by Moraes. But you can't deny he put together a nice little run, and the Sandhagen win is looking even more so now. He's looking amazing, right? But
it weren't a big deal, though. A big deal was he done him.
I was perfectly fine with him getting a title shot, right? He's done more to get a title shot than Rakic has, as an example. If we let's go back to Rakic. Do you want to chat more about Rakic and stuff?
We can do. Yeah, Rakic actually hasn't got the title shot though, because you unagreed it.
That's right. But if you got a title shot next Rakic, you'd go, "What? He got a title shot?" You know, Sterling's resume definitely is more determined. I had no problem with him getting a title shot, but I honestly I saw this fight and I just went, Jan's going to smash this guy to smithereens. I mean, it's not even going to be hard. I don't see how
easy. Yeah,
unless Sterling gets him down early and does the Sandhagen on him, you know, sort of strangles him or whatever. I just didn't see how Sterling was going to win. And he came out in that first round. And I ain't going to lie, I almost ate humble pie. I was sitting there a little bit confused and a little bit worried, going, hang on a sec, he's going to blaze. Because there was a couple of times where I felt that he rung Jan's bell a bit. I don't think he had him on Queer Street, but I think he rung his bell a bit. You know, he had him a little bit wobbly, a little bit, you know, and there was times where I was like, Jan's going to get done here. But by about 4 minutes into the first round, I was like, oof, these punches and strikes are now starting to look sloppy, slow, cumbersome. I mean, they did anyway at the start because
Jan was defending most of it.
Yeah, and you know, Sterling had that Wilder Act style at the start as well, but by the end of the round, it just looked like he was done already to me, cardio wise. Yeah. And he went back to his corner, minus Matt Serra, and he went back to his corner.
Touchy one.
He looked. You know, he looked knackered, and I thought to myself, if Jan doesn't get caught by something like a knee or a spinning elbow or something like that, or a boot coming from a weird angle, so there's something to be. We're just talking about unconventional grappling. You could argue that Sterling was doing unconventional striking, right? He was throwing leads from all different angles and everything. I do think that's difficult to defend against and to fight against. But I thought to myself, provided he don't get clipped with something in the first 2 minutes of round two, he's probably going to finish him by the end of round two, maybe early round three. That's what I thought. And I was surprised that we were still in the fight going into round four. I was like, why hasn't he just dealt with this now? I mean, Sterling, if he put together a concerted effort, he could get Sterling out there. Sterling is running on fumes. He's having his way with him. Just finish the fight. And obviously, he did finish the fight.
He certainly did.
But, you know, not legally. That's the issue. And so we'll come on to that. You know, obviously, there's been a lot said about it. And to me, it just simply... it's basically, Jan deserved to lose his title.
That's what you get for doing illegal things.
Yeah, he threw an illegal strike. It connected. It's not up to us to say whether Sterling was concussed, was that phased by it, was that smashed in by it. Right? We can have our opinions and what we think and how we interpret his actions and stuff like that, which we will get onto. But none of that matters as far as I'm concerned, because even if he wasn't that smashed in from it, and he was only semi-smashed in and he could have been okay to carry on after 3 or 4 minutes, why should he give Jan a knee to the head start? He shouldn't have to. Jan clearly broke the rules. It was a ridiculous knee to throw in a fight that he basically had in the grasp of his hands, and he deserved to lose based on it. And that's the long and short of it. Of course, it's frustrating because you feel like the guy who left with the belt was the worst fighter. And we'll get onto the way he was behaving as well in a minute.
Well, it's good that we've done it late.
Zero problem. What?
It's good that we're covering this late. It's not good, but in some ways it is, because we've got a bit of aftermath we can throw into this. You know what I mean?
But I just think that there shouldn't be much debate about what actually happened afterwards. As in, Jan should have lost. Yeah, he should have lost the belt. He should have been disqualified. He threw an illegal knee. Sterling is under no obligation to give Jan a free knee to the head while he's down on the ground. And so I have zero problem with any of that. And just quickly to go on to his after fight actions, I also have no problem with him celebrating, having a shot with a belt, and all that sort of stuff. I might as well just quickly cover the other bit in between. The reason why I think I have an issue, or most people have an issue, is because his actions contradict the stuff he said in the after fight interview and the way he behaved in the cage after the knee. And so you look at a lot of this stuff, and I know I appreciate all the, listen, that photo of me with a belt, having a champagne with all my mates, that was a split second. I went to bed straight after. I believe him. So what? But the fact is, I think he milked the knee. The chat he gave after and all the crying, and I don't want to win the belt this way. And then all of a sudden, he's saying he don't want to, why is Jan getting a rematch? Jan should be punished. Like you said, Jan has been punished. He's lost his belt. He's lost his share of the pay-per-view. He's lost his championship status.
Not the champ.
Now, he's lost loads of stuff, right? He's got a loss on his record against somebody who he should have beaten. All this sort of stuff. He has been punished. And it just seems weird that everything Sterling is saying contradicts what he said in the cage afterwards. Even the fact that he went, we're going to interview him, even though I thought we were under the impression now that we don't interview concussed fighters or knocked out fighters or smashed in fighters after fights because of that. I felt a tap from Overing debacle, right? And after that, they shouldn't interview these guys who are a bit blazed after fights because they say wrong things, their heads are all fried. Yet Sterling's all like, no, I'm all right, I can have a chat. Goes to the hospital, gets cleared, not concussed, no nothing. Yet I've never seen anyone act like that after taking a knee, ever. You're either smashed in and knocked out on the floor, concussed, doing Brendan Sharp's reaching for the stars, right? Or you grab Herb Dean's leg and try and wrestle him for 20 seconds. Yeah. He didn't. He done if you're in a drama class and someone said, you've just been knocked out, that's how you'd have acted, how Aljamain Sterling acted. You'd have done the looking into the distance going, oh, where am I? What's going on? That's not how people act when they're knocked out, in my experience. And I've seen hundreds of people knocked out. And so that's what I think I have a problem with, what most fans have a problem with. And that's me. I mean, I sort of went off on one there, but that's this whole. I don't need to say anything now. You can just take the floor.
Well, to me, he didn't give up because of the knee. He gave up because he was beaten. I mean, how bad could he have got done by that knee over all the other strikes during that fight? Why was that strike particularly worse than all the other strikes that were connected with him before that second? Why? Why is that knee worse? What, because he's on the floor or because it's illegal? Okay, illegal. Stop the fight for a minute, have a timeout. Let's have a discussion of what's going to take place now. And I'm all good with him going, well, I'm not carrying on. And the other bloke loses because that's all good. But to get to that stage, for some reason, he thought he had to go through this malarkey of play acting or whatever to get to that stage. Whereas I'm sure if he, and maybe he's right, I don't really know, but I would have thought that at that point he would have, if he just said, that's a bit out of order, innit? Then they would have gone, well, do you want to carry on? And he would have said no, and that's the end of it. But he didn't. It was all, I don't know. I don't want to say he's play acting, but that's our opinion, because I know you think the same as well. That's how it looked. I don't know why that strike is much worse. People get knocked out cold and they get up way, way quicker than he did. He even needed holding up. Yet a bloke can be smashed out completely and then be standing next to the ref and walking out on his own. Oh, yeah. But this guy needed holding up.
He gave his after-fight interview, sat down on a chair. They've never done that before. They brought a chair in for him and he's sitting there crying, going, I don't want the belt this way. And I imagine if Dana White came in now and says, oh yeah, well, no worries, you'll get a chance to rematch Jan in 3 months' time. We've seen it since then. He's been like, well, why have I got to have a smash with Jan? Can't I have a fight with Cejudo? It's like, don't you want to prove yourself? Don't you want to prove you're the legitimate champ, that this is your belt? Win the belt the way you claimed you wanted to win it in the after-fight interview. But instead, he's making all these noises that contradict what he's basically was saying in the octagon and doing afterwards. Squaring up with Cejudo literally the next day on Instagram, squaring up with Cejudo, by the way, who I think would smash his face in.
Oh, he blazed the hell out of him. Yeah,
I think he would absolutely maul Sterling. I know it seems ridiculous because he does look like a small child, next to him. But I
It
don't
does.
think he'll beat Sterling. I don't think he'll beat Jan, but I think he'll beat Sterling. And yeah, like I say, it's not up to us to say he was play acting and all this, but like you say, it's just a nice coincidence, isn't it, that that knee was so devastating. I can't remember, but you know, the amount of
How many strikes were before that knee? I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a look, right?
Yeah.
Total strikes. So it says here, up to round 4, significant ones then. It don't matter, whatever you want, significant ones. 86. So he smashed him with 86 strikes up until that knee, but the 87th one, which was a grounded knee, that's the one, right? That's the one. I got no issue with him taking a time out from it going, whoa, that was illegal. Got no issue with that. But it's not that. It's the staggering, the limping out. The reason he limped out of that cage at the end of that fight was because he got beat up. That's fair enough. I think he would have limped out of that cage regardless of a legal knee. He got beat up. But that weren't a fight-ending concussive shot. Wasn't. But look, I ain't taking a knee in the head. Maybe it was. Look, you were playing patball the other day, right? And to get a shot, you ran and head-butted a brick wall. And you were grounded. Your knees were crouched. You were grounded. You got up and went, listen, that hurt that. And then you carried on playing patball.
All right. And a big scab, big mark, you know, a graze all on the top of my head.
Just a battle scar, proof of what we're talking about. That was all it was, is evidence of what happened.
And I was smashed in, by the way. But you know what? Because I was surrounded by a few fellas, you know, a few mates or whatever, I thought, I can't lie on the floor and start crying or go, you know, if I was at home on my own and I headbutted the wall the way, because it was one of those brick walls, you know, those rough bricks.
Oh, yeah.
No, like it wasn't a smooth brick. These bricks are like, you know, I mean, they're rough.
They've got all wobbly and grit on them. They're not smooth.
Yeah, they're like sandpaper. I mean, I really headbutted that wall, as you know. I fell into it. And believe me, if I was at home and I headbutted a wall like that, I'd have been on the floor for ages going, for fuck's sake, Jesus, you know, and all that sort of stuff, you know, punching the floor and stuff like that. But because there was people around, I thought, you've got to show some self-control and you've got to be a man about this, right? And I headbutted the wall. And as you know, right, I couldn't be so much of a man about it that I just went, no bother, let's carry on.
No, there was a pause, yeah.
And I held my head for about, what, 5 seconds? Yeah. Like that, 5 seconds. And I went, like, right. And then I gritted my teeth. I stood up and I went, let's carry on. And believe me, when I went, let's carry on, I was actually a tiny little bit dizzy. It took me about another couple of seconds to get my feet under me. But then, you know, I got back to playing patball and, you know, winning and being brilliant at it. Now,
true, you actually won, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting that Sterling wasn't smashed. I have zero issue, and I know you do as well. Jan should have lost. Jan should have lost his belt. Jan should have been disqualified. Sterling should have won. Sterling should have been under no obligation to continue. Yep. Let's even say that Sterling was as smashed in as he was. Let's just say that we're completely wrong with regards to his histrionics and all that sort of stuff, and he was completely smashed in. The issues start with the actions after, squaring up with Cejudo, saying that, you know, Jan shouldn't necessarily get the rematch. They contradict all the stuff like, this isn't the way I wanted to win the belt. I want to prove I'm the champion and all this sort of stuff. It's just, none of it ties in together. And that is why I think he's lost a lot of fans, because that's what it seems to me, that a lot of people are kind of going, you know what, dude, you've been a bit of a plank about this. And that's it. Even if he got up straight off that knee and didn't look that smashed in, when I don't think I should give Jan a free knee head start. I'm not carrying on with this fight. Okay, no worries, Sterling, you're the champion. I'd have had no problem with that. As far as I'm concerned, that is what happened, just with some drama in between. It's just some acting in between. I have no problem with that. I have no issue with him doing that. He shouldn't have to give the free knee head start. But it's all the crap that surrounds it. And also, we're in a very macho sport where people... It's what I said earlier about Anderson Silva, right? He behaved after he broke his leg. He still threw leg kicks on it, exactly the same. And that's something that 99.9% of people don't have the mental fortitude or physical toughness to do. And that's why people like Anderson Silva people love him, right? Because they're just like, I couldn't be like that. That guy's he's just not like every other human walking the street. And it's why we like Chuck Liddell, even though he'd been knocked out a few times. When he smelt blood against Rich Franklin, he went in for the kill. It didn't matter that he'd been banged out before. And guess what? He got banged out again, right?
That's right.
That's why we love that guy. Nogueira, when he got his arm broken and he just laid in the center of the ring like he'd chipped a toenail or something. And it's just like, this guy is incredible. These people do things. I'll to give you another one, recent one, Calvin Cater. You look at him and you go, that guy has got something that is just missing from the 99.9% of humans walking the planet. And that's why we respect these guys. That's why we like these guys.
Yeah.
Even though that his record might be 20 wins, 13 losses. That's why it don't matter. That's why everyone loves Lobov. That's why Lobov's the GOAT. Because he don't care. There is some truth to that. Lobov will keep going. He will keep going. And Sterling showed he doesn't have that. And that is why he'll lose. He has lost fans. That's why I didn't like him beforehand. I thought he was a bit guffed beforehand. Definitely don't like him now. The gold chains, that looks like an absolute turd.
Yep.
I didn't like the guy beforehand. I don't like the guy now. I look forward to the rematch. Hopefully don't give him the lucky strike because Yan needs to give him a spanking. And I think Yan will do a 5-round drowning on him.
Yeah, I mean, I should think so. But I want to bring it up because you sent me a tweet or something that he sent out and it was to do with how he was thinking. Have you got that? Or can you find that? Well, can you find it? What do you mean, no?
I don't know what tweet you're talking about. When did I send it?
You sent me one where it was him chatting, saying, I was laying there thinking, would Dana White give me another chance and stuff like that? If you can find that, I'd like you to read that out because to me, I thought what I thought, but it's only what I thought. And it's easy for me sitting at home on my sofa, but it doesn't matter. You know, I'm watching it and I thought what I thought. But once you sent me that, I went, well, he's just cemented what I thought. It ain't what I thought. It's real. It's what he thought as well as what was going through his mind. I think you said to me at the time, could a concussed fighter think like this and have these, this processed thoughts and stuff? But if you can find that, I think that's a real interesting insight into the way he was thinking. This is what he said, not what somebody else has said. So yeah, it is interesting.
I even thought at the time, right? He's supposed to be concussed and smashed in.
Yep.
Yet he's having logical thoughts and thought processes during this A to Z. So when Brendan Schaub was knocked out and reaching for the stars against, I can't remember who it was it against Travis Brown or something like that?
I can't remember
I don't think you'd have stopped the fight and gone to Brendan Schaub. By the way, do you think you could get another title shot after this? I think the words that would come out of Schaub's mouth would have been like, like something like that. He'd have not been able to articulate anything. He was genuinely knocked out and shouldn't have been allowed to carry on. Obviously, well. Sterling, on the other hand, he's having logical, rational thoughts. He's supposed to be blazed, concussed, smashed in fight where he can't walk and all that sort of stuff.
I can't remember who the fighter was, but the other day, Business told a story about a fighter that he was cornering back in the days, early days, and the guy got smashed out, sparked out proper, in the fight. And so they were out the back, talking him down. Yeah, don't worry about it, mate. It's all good, this, that, and the other. And then he said a few minutes later, the guy would go, I can't remember the bloke's name or anything. It's irrelevant. It's just the story. The guy would go, so, Mike, what's happening? Well, I'm going out for a fight in a bit, and let's go. What do you want me to do now? Should we warm up a bit? And he'd go, no. You've just been done. The fight is done. And he'd go, huh? Really? And then he'd sit there for a bit, and then he'd get up and go, start doing your versions and go, right then, what's the strategy for this bloke? What are we doing? He'd go, listen, he's done. You've been done, mate. And he said, it's quite a serious thing, he said, because it was the same when he got done by Dan Henderson. He was the same out the back. He said, so it does do things to you. And, it don't look like that with everyone's different, every human's different, etc. But just didn't get that impression off of that knee. Sorry. It backfired on Chris Weidman, right? This move.
That's right, yeah, because he said that, he was smashed in from a legal knee and they checked it wasn't illegal. And so they got it.
Same camp, right? Same bloke. Yeah, same fight team and all that.
That's what Sarah's been teaching.
No, not this time because he weren't in the corner.
But that's it. Yeah,
it wouldn't have happened.
Now,
He should have acted like Matt Serra. When Matt Serra won that belt against GSP and he pointed at it like, what? Me, the champ? Jan should have done that. That would have been so funny. He would have gone, yes, done, Jan. It's like, you didn't do... imagine how nuts people would have gone. You didn't do him, you idiot. It was illegal near be. Yes, done, Jan. That's what he should have done. That would have been amazing. Yeah, he should have embraced it. Yeah, it is what it is. Embrace it. But he thought that without doing what he did, all the shenanigans, I'll call it, that he wouldn't get stopped. If he'd have gone, nah, I'm all right, then I guess the fight would have continued. He thought, I've got to make the most of this because I ain't carrying on.
It's my way out. It's my way out.
We all know about it for Anthony Smith, that fight with John Jones. So he follows the sport. He knows about it as well, Sterling. He knows the way it rolls. He can carry on. But a lot of people said then maybe Anthony Smith should have just taken that and taken the belt. He'd be the champ now or whatever. So he knows you can do it. And he made sure of it. Fine, make sure of it. Enjoy it.
Exactly, yeah.
You found it?
Just own it.
That's right.
And there's not there would have been nothing wrong with him owning that either, because like I say, Jan was at fault. Jan broke the rules. That's the end of it. I don't care about all this. Oh, his corner said, it was okay to kick, or all the referee told him 10 seconds earlier that Sterling was grounded. You don't speak English, all this kind of stuff. You can come out all the excuses that you want at the end of the day, but he's a professional fighter. He should know the rules. He broke the rules. He lost his belt. He's been punished. That's the end of that.
Don't matter if he did it by purpose or not. It's irrelevant. What happened, and it's against the rules. Done. Have you found that message?
I have found that tweet, and in looking for that tweet, I found the picture I sent you of Paige Van Zandt coming out the swimming pool with the team. So that was a nice little, a nice little bonus. But
so
it says
this was after the fight, correct?
Yeah, it says Aljamain Sterling. And then it's got in quotation marks, wouldn't be opposed if UFC didn't do Peter Yan rematch next. So that's one of the headlines. So it's just like, I thought you wanted to prove that.
This ain't how I wanted to win this. That's what you said. I saw you say it. You said it in the cage. This ain't how I wanted to win this. You said it.
Yeah.
Now you don't want a rematch.
Sarah? What about Sarah? He was all good giving GSP another smash night, didn't he?
Yeah. Because he's real.
He was like, another smash, I'll have a smash. You weren't like, oh no, that's it. You're going to have to wait like 5 years. And here's the little bit of the article. There were many things going through Sterling's mind in the moment, he said.
Let's stop there. Let's stop there.
If you're concussed and smashed in, you are not having loads of things going through your head.
Depending on what those things are.
Go back. I know it's a bad example, but me headbutting that wall, right? For that split second when I was on the floor on my knees with my head in my hands, right? I was just going, and I made that noise, That's all that was going through my head, was controlling the pain. It was only when that pain alleviated a little bit that I went, now what do I need to fix? And that's when I went, I can't sit here on my knees acting like a baby in front of these guys. And that's when I got upset. Right, let's carry on. But at the point of pain, there was no thought process other than this pain. That's all that I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
but it depends what you're going to tell me what the thought process is now. But if the thought process was, I didn't know what was going on, all I could see was black, and I was thinking about, I don't know, looking at some stars, and you'd go, okay, this guy's smashed in. But I want to hear what the thought processes are. Go on, let's have it.
Among them was the fact the belt could potentially slip away from him forever. That is, so now he's processing long-term arrangements and issues that may affect his career 6 months, 12 months, 6 years down the line.
Yeah.
Funny behavior for somebody who's concussed, right? I mean, when somebody's been knocked out in a street fight, it's very rare that the first thing they say when they wake up is like, did I switch the stove off? And what do you think my employment opportunities are at work?
Yeah.
It's very rare that that's what pops up straight away, but whatever.
That's right.
It took 14 fights and a lot of frustration to finally get in the octagon and fight for a title. And he was aware there were no certainties that chance would come again if he continued fighting while compromised.
I mean, this is self-explanatory, these chats. This is it. Yeah. This to me tells you that he weren't done.
If he was in a court of law now, I'd be like, right, so you weren't concussed, you weren't knocked out and all that. You were thinking logically and clearly
of how you could use this situation to your advantage. That's fine. That's fine. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, but just admit it. This is all quotations now. I do remember asking, how much time do I have? Because I wanted to continue, Sterling said. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that.
Oh, how much time did I have to think about what I'm going to do in this situation? Yeah.
How much time have I got to act that I'm smashed in?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like he was like, when they said 5 minutes, he was like, I've got to keep this act up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Quotations. In this moment, I'm thinking a whole bunch of things in my head. Dana White's not going to give me another shot at the title. The fight's going to be a no contest. Dana's going to say he was losing that fight in the 4th round, so why should we use him again? We already know the direction the fight was heading. So he knows he was losing the fight, don't forget. He knows he was losing the fight. He knows he was getting smashed in.
He knows if it goes to no contest, he won't get another chance.
Yeah, then it says here, then me, I'm never going to get the opportunity again. I'm going to have to win 3 or 4 more fights to get back in this position for a world title again.
Unless it gets, unless I just win the belt by disqualification. Yeah. So let's do a few more wobbles. And let's say when the ref says, what's happening? And you, well, I don't know. I don't know why he did those chats. I don't know why he did that.
I do, because it's that classic thing, isn't it? When you tell one lie, you have to tell another lie to cover that lie, and then it's
I guess, yeah.
And I think that's his issue. Is he tried to maintain that he was absolutely blazed, and whereas what we're saying, if he was just honest and said, I don't feel like I should have given him he broke the rules and I shouldn't have given him a free knee head start. If he was just honest about that, he wouldn't have to say any other lies to cover those lies. But he's trying to make out like, oh, I was so blazed I couldn't carry on. And then people are like, but you were thinking and talking logically and done an after fight interview. And he was like, yeah, but that's because, and that's when you got to tell something else to cover that, and then tell something else to cover that. I think a lot of people have seen through it. It's not been a good look for him. And obviously he's, been whinging and moaning about it a little bit. I think
bad qual by him, that really bad.
You know it's bad when most of your peers, and I can't remember who exactly, but I know Darren Till, TJ Dillashaw, probably not the best example. He's not exactly a pillar.
You can still have an opinion. You can still have an opinion of what you saw.
And a lot of them, Darren Till tweeted out.
Big John McCarthy,
Al Pacino, but
what about Big John though?
Who?
Big John McCarthy.
Yeah,
that was quite a touchy one. Yeah.
Yeah, because Big John McCarthy, look, some people have had a go at McCarthy, but at the end of the day, he's right. He has been in and around hundreds upon hundreds of knocked out and concussed fighters, and he just basically said he didn't strike me as a guy who was knocked out or concussed. Now we have to take Sterling's word for it, and that's why we're saying we're happy to. But at the end of the day, his actions in the ring and after have been completely contradictory. But
that's it.
The only way to fix it is to run it back, and that is what they're going to do. And may the best man win. Is
that definitely happening? Even though the champ gets a say in stuff now, because obviously he's unagreed it.
He has unagreed it, yeah. But it is one that Jan is really. I mean, like I said, I think Jan will want to make him, because there's been a bit of back and forth between them on social media, and so I think Jan is going to want to make him suffer, make him pay.
I hope he doesn't think like that too much and just sticks to his, good fight IQ. Yeah, be professional. Yeah, because you don't want him going in there and swinging wild and getting done, because he knows how to fight. Just do what you do.
Jan doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who go in and swing wild, but the longer you're in there against someone, say if he does not take opportunities to finish the fight because he thinks, I want to make him sort of like go through hell and back a little bit more. The longer someone's in there, the longer, the greater risk that something might,
correct.
Exactly.
Only takes, some arms around your throat, and that's it, and you're done.
Exactly. Just takes one mistake, one scramble, Sterling on your back, he choked you out, Sandhagen style. So anyway, it was very, very interesting. I really enjoyed the whole aspect of it.
It's brilliant.
Psychology aspect of it, and dissecting it afterwards and seeing what I thought. Nothing to say that what our analysis is correct or anything. We could be bang out of order and incorrect, but that's the way we saw it. And that's all there is to it. Yeah.
That's all there is to it. So we'll leave him alone now, Sterling, and we'll move on. We'll have a dig at him when he's back on the scene in the rematch. We'll see what happens. But for now, that's what we've got to say on it. We'll move on to the next fight. Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Look, Anderson was just so slow. Nunes done it with a armbar in round 1. if you've got stuff to say on it, I'll happily listen to it. But I ain't have got much to say on this fight.
I think I used all my breath on the Sterling fight, which is a problem because it's a bit of a newsman because the main event needs some chats. But the all I'm going to say about this Nunes fight is, forget that division. It amazes me that they were considering dropping the flyweight division, the men's flyweight division, when that is a wicked division. And you've got this absolute junk division where they keep trying to scramble around and find just women that do some form of martial arts that weigh this much so they can get them in there against Nunes so they can get their face pounded off. It's a waste of everybody's time, including Nunes's. I wouldn't even bother training if I was it's just not worth it for the time being. Just turn up, send me location. I'll turn up and beat him up because I don't need to train. Megan Anderson reminded me of like an articulated figure where you can take off the arms and legs and put on. Yeah.
So they're articulated, but they ain't. Yeah, they don't move even though they're articulated.
It's like someone took off the arms and legs that came with a figure and put on ones from a different figure. They just didn't all work together. Like you say, very slow, looked uncoordinated. And honestly, just Nunes is just too good for women of that size. Forget that division. Waste of time.
Is that the higher weight division?
I'm bored of them going, we got 3 world title fights on this card. It's like, the Nunes fight ain't a title fight in my eyes. It's just a sacrificial lamb being bought in to get turned into mincemeat for Nunes. So just forget it. Make her go back down and fight some other people that are at least moderately competitive. Here, Juliana Pena.
Oh, God.
I ain't going to talk about that now.
Those chats were really bad. They were.
Yeah, they're worse than the Sterling chats.
Where they were just so set up and fake and contrived and obvious. And this is what I'm going to do today. It's like, no. I can see through it.
Yeah, rubbish. You got that mug Helwani banging on about, even though we like him, banging on about it. So like, you've got to see this. This is the best interview you'll see.
It's incredible.
It's like, you know what? You like that wrestling junk too much. It was just like cutting a wrestling promo. It was absolutely embarrassing and cringeworthy.
It's not real. It's not legit.
I wouldn't give her the title shot based on those chats.
Yeah, it'd have the reverse effect for me. I'd be, no. You can't just get it on chat. Just turning up on a show and saying, right, I'm going to get a title shot based on that. It's not how you get title shots. You probably get it anyway. There ain't no one else. But there ain't no need for those chats. They just didn't sound genuine. That's it.
Can that division? There is no title to fight for. Can that division? Get rid of it.
Megan Anderson ain't worse than anyone else. They've just got rid of her, haven't they?
They didn't get rid of her. Her contract was up, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I've never heard a line trotted out more than this. I've decided to explore free agency. How many times do you hear that out of UFC? Yeah, when you contract, I've decided to explore free agency. It's like,
you ain't.
Basically mean you get signed by Bellator or one, basically. But rubbish division, simple, easy work. I'm just not interested in seeing more.
But it says that she threw 2 significant strikes.
Who, Megan?
Yeah.
What?
It's all right. It was 2 minutes 3 seconds. Ain't bad. Better than Rakic and Amachest.
Yeah, but but to be fair, didn't they just look at each other for 2 minutes and then Nunes went right and bored of looking at you now?
Seemed that way, didn't it? Yeah.
Just knocked her out. Great. Crap.
Didn't she do? Knocked her down, put her in a triangle and an armbar. Just done everything. I think it was quite a few moves. I think she punched her out, then did like a triangle on her, and then went, all right, well, there's an arm there, I'll have that and all. Yeah, so it was everything.
Triangle armbar, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she got triangled, she got submitted, she got a limb smashed off, and I got her head smashed out and all.
Yeah, ever since Benavidez, done the full set. Like in football, you get the perfect hat trick, and it's when you score a goal with your left foot, your right foot, and your head. And do you remember Benavidez had the perfect defeat in that he got knocked out, submitted,
Oh, was that Figueiredo's? Yeah.
It's Figueiredo,
Yeah.
all in one round. And it seems
Yeah.
that people are trying to do that more and more now. I think Bisping had it, didn't he, against Rockhold?
Yeah, that's right.
One arm. Yeah, so, it's been a few of these sort of perfect finishes, and that was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrible.
I just no interest in Nunes fights, not because of Nunes, but just because, if Cyborg came back and they said, we're going to do Cyborg Nunes again, I'd watch that. I'll be interested in that. For
Yeah,
sure.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But that's about it. I'll tell you what I ain't interested in. Someone like Holly Holm having her 38th title shot. That I ain't interested in.
Well, we've said it's very different for the women's division, isn't it? Because there's just no one else. So you have to just, what are you going to do? It's your next best one. No more two, but there ain't no one in it.
Your microphone went a bit funny there.
That's because Cat was into it.
Yeah, right. Maybe put her in against Rakic.
Of a division, because it's pointless if there's no activity in it. It's just, what's the point of it? But there you go. It's still there for the minute. What division did she just win in? Was it the higher weight class or the lower? Which one needs to be got rid of? What is she? 145s, 135s?
Featherweight, isn't it?
Yeah, but that don't mean nothing to me.
It's like if you go on the UFC website, right? You've got the strawweight is Zhang Wei Li, flyweight is Valentina Shevchenko, bantamweight champion is Nunes, and then women's featherweight, right, is Amanda Nunes. There's no rankings underneath her. So just forget it. Yeah. Just forget that division. It don't exist. There's no fighters in it. You can't be the champion of something that don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, you've proved your point. You've blazed everyone. There's nothing to defend.
Listen, that weight category should never existed anyway, right? It existed for Cyborg. Forget it. Get lost. Not interested in it.
So that's the heavier of the two. She's champ of two. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the bigger one. So who's she's the champ of the other one?
Bantamweight.
Okay, yeah. Who's in the other one then? Can you stop it?
Jermaine Durandamy, Juliana Pena. It's like that's why Pena gets on my nerves. Like you got submitted by Durandamy, and yet you're calling for a title shot. It's like flip it off. But
true, yeah.
Holly Holm. I mean, just if you think the light heavyweight division is struggling, have a look at that women's featherweight division, bantamweight division. Jeez.
All right. Well, I ain't chatting about it anymore because it's crap. Yeah. Let's go to the main event. Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. Adesanya moving up from 185s to 205s to try and do the champ version. Wasn't a very good fight, I don't think. I gave round 1 to Adesanya, round 2 to Blachowicz, round 3 to Adesanya, and then round 4 and 5 to Blachowicz. That's how I had it. Don't worry about what the actual judges thought. That's how I had it. Weren't a great fight. During the fight, DC and Rogan were going on about Adesanya being better and dominant, and that Blachowicz has more to win. But once Blachowicz won, they said it was a dominant performance by Blachowicz. They changed their mind. No, it's true. It's true though. Yeah, at the beginning it was all about him, and then at the end it was like, yeah, dominant performance by Blachowicz. That's like, yeah, all right, guys, whatever. Yeah. So I don't know what you got to say about that fight. I don't have a great deal to say about it. I still enjoyed watching it and everything. And good for Blachowicz. It's good that he won and defended his title, his weight class, etc. A bloke tried to come up and do the run-of-the-mill thing of I'm going to come and get that title, and he went, nah, sorry, you ain't having it. Yep, brilliant.
Yeah,
I know we wanted to discuss the John Jones side of things and that, but
I'm not discussing John Jones. You can F off.
All right. Go on then, let's have it. What do you think of this fight?
Crap on the pads. It's all rubbish on the pads. It looks like my granddad in the pads. Anyway, I disagree with you a little bit, as in I liked this fight because to me had a little bit of a story. We've had that discussion before, but I like fights that have few twists and turns in them. And I thought this had enough. There was always the threat that I think that one of them could have clipped the other, so it maintained my intrigue in that regard. I liked the change in tact from Blachowicz, which sort of changed the momentum of the fight. So there's quite a lot I quite enjoyed about this fight, but it's one of those fights that I enjoyed whilst watching it live. I would never recommend it to someone to watch now and go, you got to see this fight.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Now that it's been and it's gone and I know what's happened, I'm happy to, put it in the
Yeah,
dustbin.
it's kind of weird. Like you say, it wasn't a very good fight, but I did enjoy it while it was on.
Yeah. And I mean, luckily, it was one of those things that I was watching and I was going, to me, right, round 4 and 5, undoubtedly Blachowicz. I don't think round 5 was 10-8, just because, he had him controlled for the round. He wasn't doing much damage. And yeah, he postured up in the last, 10 seconds and did do, land some heavy looking shots. But that don't get you a 10-8. Not even close.
No way.
So for me, I don't even understand the people saying that was a 10-8 or even close to it. Not even, no, I'm not having that at all. But round 4 and 5 were very, very, very clearly Blachowicz, right? So he's got, let's just say he's 2 rounds up, because he got round 4 and 5. So the debate is now about rounds 1 to 3. And to me, I was confused because I was watching it, and I'm glad to see afterwards, you said what you said. And I'm glad to see afterwards that Rogan and DC got a bit of a hard time for their commentary in this fight.
Oh,
I'm glad to, because I was watching that going, I just don't get why there's, like, I leant towards Adesanya in the first round as well, right?
Yeah, easy.
I think I gave Adesanya maybe 2 of the first 3 rounds, but I was happy for it. Someone to say, well, no, Blachowicz got 2 of the first 3 rounds. It was the way I looked at it was Blachowicz definitely got at least 1 of those 3 rounds because they were all basically pretty even. I think like you say, round 2, I actually think he might have won that reasonably clearly. Actually,
I think so. I can't remember it. I just made a note at the time,
Yeah, but I remember thinking at the time, I think Blachowicz landed the better shots. But at the end of every round, all I heard was, oh, Adesanya, isn't he amazing? The feints. He's got him biting on the feints. I was just like, what?
At some point, Blachowicz has got to do something about this. You can't just keep biting on these feints.
We bite on them all you want.
What do you want him to do then? Yeah.
The thing with biting on feints, right, is bad, right? It is bad to bite on feints. So if I like feint with a jab, and somebody pulls down with their right hand to, as if they're going to parry it. Well, I know basically what I do is I'll feint with a jab, the parry hand comes down, and then I'll fire a jab back, full jab back straight after, because their parry hand is going to be down and that side of their face is exposed, or I can throw a left hook or whatever. But so there is something to be said for biting on feints is not good. But the key thing is Adesanya did not prosper from those bites on the feints because he didn't exploit them. He'd done nothing to make the most of it. So I have no problem with Blachowicz biting on those feints because Adesanya isn't taking advantage of them.
Yeah, Blachowicz doesn't know what's coming, hence why it's a feint, right? He's like, is that a punch or is that a feint? He doesn't know. Yeah. So he reacts to it. But like you said, where's the follow-up to the feint? Ain't the feint there to make someone react, to see how he's going to react to when you do a feint? He did them and didn't. Yeah, nothing happened after.
That's what feints are. They're recon work, right? You throw them. When I throw a right hand, this guy tends to generally like to say slip inside or slip outside or roll, under a right hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tend to throw a right hand, and depending on how they react to that, I'm going to change my next attack to catch them.
Yeah,
but he didn't. And you don't get points through somebody biting on your feints. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you can go on the UFC website and rather than checking significant strikes landed, can you check for me how many feints Blachowicz bit on in that fight compared to Adesanya? I imagine that statistic isn't there.
There's no section for it.
Oh, there is there? Yeah. It just don't mean anything. And the thing is, right, it's after the first round, they were all up, Adesanya's backside. And I remember thinking that first round was tight. It could have gone either way. And when they actually read out the significant strike count or the strike count at the end of the first round, I think it was Anik or whatever, he kind of went, Blachowicz, outlanding Adesanya in the first round, despite the, biting on the feints. Or, he said something to that effect. And I was like, I'm glad.
It was 18 and 18 to 13 Blachowicz on total strikes.
In first round, yeah?
Yeah. And significant. It's exactly the same, 18 to 13 significant strikes.
Yeah. So he landed a significant amount more. I mean, 50% more.
Yeah.
It depends on how you work out your percentages, 33% more, whatever. But
that's proof it was close. I mean, when I watched it, I didn't know those statistics, and I did think that Adesanya won that one fairly convincingly. For me, I thought, well, he just did stuff. And Blachowicz, not talking about the feint thing, I'm just saying that. Not saying nothing major happened in it, but Adesanya was active. He did things, and I thought, well, Blachowicz was just being defensive and seeing what's going on and whatever.
Active. And Adesanya was controlling the center of the cage, all those things.
That's it.
And so Yeah, but I did look at it and I kind of went, I thought Blachowicz done all right in that first round, despite Rogan and DC
Oh,
basically saying,
mate, yeah.
and then obviously the statistics backed it up, and I was like, well, I'm glad that that's
It was
happened, because
Adesanya's just
it
better.
made me feel like I was being anti-Adesanya, which I'm not for any reason. You know, I actually
No, no
like Adesanya.
way.
So
No,
it made me kind of go. It made me kind of go. Am I sort of naturally cheering on Blachowicz, which I weren't. I didn't care who won, really. It was a real 50-50. I don't know. Maybe I did want Blachowicz, but I didn't feel like I was being biased in the way that I wasn't focusing on one fighter more than the other. And
no.
those statistics came up. It kind of made me go, thank you. I knew I wasn't sort of being biased or leaning one way over the other. And I actually still scored that first round for Adesanya, but I think maybe round two, I was like, I think Blachowicz landed a couple of decent shots in that round. What were the strike count in round two?
23-21 to Blachowicz.
There you go. And what about round three?
Round three, significance, 24-21, Blachowicz.
Well, there you go. I mean, so he outstruck him in every round, but yet, according to the commentary and stuff like that, they were giving the impression that, Blachowicz kind of had to...
He's getting done, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, because he was like maybe 3 rounds down. And he did put his foot on the accelerator. And even I was sitting there going, when he finished round 4 and round 5, I did sit there going, you know what, if you lose this 48-47, you're only going to have yourself to blame that you didn't try and implement this round 4 and 5 game plan a bit earlier. I know people can say, well, you had to tire Adesanya out or lull him into a false sense of security. But I did think you might have cost yourself here, because those first 3 rounds, I genuinely did feel they could have gone either way. But that's my problem, is I was looking at them thinking they could have gone either way. I think I scored them, 2 of the 3 rounds for Blachowicz or what have you. But the thing that annoyed me was the commentary team were talking like it was a 3-round sweep for Adesanya. And I was just like
it was doing me nothing.
Well, like beyond, sort of any contest. And I was just like, what are you watching? But there you go. I liked it because I don't like people being champs of 2 divisions at the same time, holding up weight classes. I like the fact that someone being bigger, naturally bigger, it did count for something. He did look, his back and stuff like, when he was on top of him, he did look like a much bigger guy, a bit much bigger, stronger guy. Because people have taken Adesanya down or tried to take him down lots at middleweight, and they've either failed 99 times out of 100 to take him down, and on the odd occasion they have taken him down, he's shot straight back up pretty quick.
Yes.
But this, it was almost like he was, it's almost like his back was made out of Velcro or super glue. And the second he hit the canvas, he was just stuck to it, So I'm glad that the power and the size does mean something, or did mean something.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, and it's nice that it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that Blachowicz defended his title, and if you like, sort of confirmed his status as a champ.
Yeah, because he just beat.
That was given up by John Jones, but now he's sort of cemented it. Well, I am the new bloke.
Well, we've just discussed the 205 division. Beating Adesanya was better than beating anyone else in the 205s.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%.
He's a much better scalp, if you like. Yeah, it cemented his position way more. Yeah, than any of the other blokes. Yeah.
Yeah, if he'd have beaten a Glover, I'd have gone. Glover's wicked. I actually really like Glover loads. It's like a light heavyweight JDS.
I would like it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that if he beat a Glover or he beat a Rakic, I'd kind of just go, all right, yeah, good win. But that fight could have easily taken place a year ago and not been for a belt. That's how it would have felt. Whereas this against Adesanya, it felt like a big occasion. It felt like a, prove yourself sort of fight. And he did prove himself.
That's right. He did do,
yeah. And I like him. I liked the chats afterwards when he was like, how much? And Adesanya was like, what are you talking about? He's like, he thought
bodyguard, yeah.
Be my bodyguard, yeah. And he was like, I didn't say, I said you were strong in the guard or something like that. And he was like, he's quite likable, isn't he, Blachowicz?
He is, yeah. Yeah, I like him a lot. Seems like a good, down-to-earth fella.
Yeah.
Simple as that, yeah. I like him. He's a good champ. You can't always have these controversial figures. It's good to have them because they are exciting, if you like, and interesting. But it's nice to have, like JDS. That was another. You've just mentioned him there. That was another bloke who's just a brilliant bloke, and that's why Glover would be a good one. But no, I like Blachowicz. We'll keep him. Let's have him.
I genuinely would like Blachowicz to stay champ for a long, long time. When you look at the talent in the 205 division, you kind of go, maybe he will. But
that brings us back to hammer chest and Rakic.
should we have a chat about that?
We could do, because the truth is it brings back round to the 205 division, you see, and they're part of it. I mean, do you think either of those have got a chance against Blachowicz?
It's a little bit like the heavyweight division, as in I think anyone can do anyone because they've all got power, right? Thiago Santos could easily knock out Blachowicz if you caught him with the right combination, or boot him in the head. Then he can win. He can win that belt. You always felt with John Jones that people would never land that shot. I don't get that impression with Blachowicz. I'm pretty sure he's hittable to the point where someone could knock him out, where Thiago Santos could knock him out, a Rakic could knock him out. There's probably lots of people who, if they landed, could knock out Blachowicz or beat Blachowicz. I don't get the same sort of invincibility aura about him that I did with John Jones. But I'd like him to stay champ for ages. But that 205 division is weak, and I think he is the best fighter in it. Simple as that. All round, on their best day, everybody on their best day, he's the best guy at 205. I think at the moment.
It's true. I do think he's quite good and all. And a lot of the chats afterwards was, he was underrated and this, that, and I was like, well, that's why it's good for him, really, that he done Adesanya. I mean, he didn't smash his face in, did he? I do think you can now see he did the right thing, right? He won the fight. He did the right thing. He didn't make any silly mistakes and get done, right? And that's important. But you could definitely see, not definitely, but it seemed to me, had he postured up, a minute earlier, he probably would have sparked him out on the floor there.
It's possible, but I also understand why he didn't, the way he secured, position over submission and all that sort of stuff.
Doesn't know for sure that he's winning the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And then he thought, it's 10 seconds to go here. Even if he does reverse this position, he ain't going to be able to choke me out, or ain't going to be able to get to the feet and knock me out. So I've got nothing to lose. I'll posture up for 10 seconds, see what I can do. And he did. And it obviously looked pretty devastating.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. Because don't forget, he's got the weight.
How much breath did he have to keep that kind of attack going? So if he started that at the start round 4, he might have shagged himself out by it.
Maybe, and then he would have tried laying on him for the rest of the round. Maybe got stood up and maybe would have got done. That's the thing. So I'm not saying it was the wrong thing to do. It just looked to me like Adid had a bit more confidence. I think with the weight, I think he could have done him. It looked like Adesanya were going to get done there.
Good fight IQ, though, I think, by choosing the path he did choose.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But obviously, if all the judges did think Adesanya won the first 3 rounds and he lost 48-47 or even on a split decision, we'd all be sitting here now going, idiot, why didn't he posture up earlier and try and spark him out? So it's a good decision in hindsight and retrospect. But
that's right. Yeah.
It would have been a bad decision if it went the other way. But the one thing I want to say about it, just quickly, because we've kind of done it all now, is we agreed before the way Cruz dealt with losing to Garbrandt was amazing. I like the way Adesanya dealt with this defeat. He was just like, I dared to be great. So what? Got done. Yeah, there's going to be people who say stuff online and are rubbish, but he's 100% right. They're sat in their own, doing now, achieving now. He reached out for.
I think he's all right. Yeah.
For greatness, and he came up a bit short, but
it's the way it goes, isn't it? You've got to take every fight is a risk because you could get done. He's undefeated. He'll retire undefeated and all that stuff, maybe. But now the pressure's off. I mean, he's still undefeated at 185, if you like. Yeah. I would, if I was him, I'd take that and go, well, no one at my actual weight class has done me yet. But it don't matter. Sometimes it's good when people get rid of the stigma of the undefeated thing or whatever. It's not like he got smashed to bits or anything like that, right? And even if he did, it is a dare to be great, but it's okay getting done going up there. It's all right. You didn't just go up there. You went up against the champion. So you got done by the champion at a different weight class. That's all right. I think it is quite an easy one to swallow. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone think Dominic Reyes is an arsehole because he got punched out by Blachowicz? I mean, he got smashed in way easier than Adesanya did. No one was having a go at Reyes. In fact, people go chin up, you'll come again, you run John Jones close, all that sort of stuff. But Adesanya goes up a weight class and fights the champ and does has a far closer fight with him. And people are just like, how you got done? It's like, hang on a second.
So what? So what?
I rate him for going up and doing it. I think he should have done it earlier because he had all the the beef with John Jones. Why not have had the fight with John Jones? That weren't great, I didn't think. But at the end of the day, he tried to do something amazing, fell a little bit short. I do actually think in time he probably will go up and win the 205 belt eventually at some stage of his career. And if anything, that just helps make that story more interesting, right? Next time he goes and fights at 205, and if he does win the belt, it's a bit more of an interesting story. He went up there before, like the McGregor-Diaz thing. He lost the first fight. It's more interesting, wasn't it? Now the second fight, can he overcome him at 170 pounds? And then, now if they ever smash at one, there's a story unfolding. So I like him. For the fact that he went up there. I like his attitude after he lost.
Nothing's changed. To me, nothing's changed.
I have no problem with what he said to Derek Brunson either. People need to grow thicker skin. Get over
it. You told me about that, what he said to him. Yeah.
Calm down, BMW or whatever it is, pulling his advertising and all that.
There's no issue with it. This is fighting, and what he said isn't literal. I mean, just grow up, everyone. It's not literal. It's not actually going to do that to him. It's not a literal thing. He means in fighting. He means in fighting.
It might be a bad choice of words. It might be an insensitive choice of words
for some people. Yeah.
And that's understandable, and I also appreciate that BMW can pull their advertising for somebody who's representing their brand, who they feel doesn't fit in with their brand guidelines or whatever. I understand all of that. I'm just saying that people get bent over shape over pretty much. It's just you're walking on eggshells.
People are too serious with it, right? BMW, then, there's the example you used there. They're too serious with it. They can do whatever they want. It's their company, right? But I think you alluded to this before when you spoke about this off air, that they employed, if you like, I've got someone on their books that's controversial, that's a fighter, that has already said plenty of. I mean, he simulated doing Costa at the end of the fight, right? Yeah. This isn't a wet blanket, right?
Remember, he had the controversy with the two towers,
right? Right. So he said stuff. He's going to say stuff. Why can't it just be? Look, we don't really like that. It might make us look bad. Can you try and be a little bit more careful? Why is it always an instant P40? Why is it just you're out? Why?
Well, maybe these.
It's just it stinks. It stinks of trying to do the right thing and have people clap for you, BMW, as opposed to having a conversation with the human being that you're in business with. We're worried about probably a minority of people. How many people even know about this story? How many people know about it? I guarantee you the normal man on the street don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about it. It's deep MMA news. To me, it is. That's what it is. It isn't front page newspaper stuff. It's not. It's Israel Adesanya. Loads of people don't even know who this fella is. Yet you're going to get rid of him? Slap his wrist, tell him, it's not the sort of thing you can do.
I do think then maybe these sports stars also need to go, do I want to have my independence, as in being able to say what I want, how I want, when I want, and not tie myself in with these companies who do have a public persona to keep up.
Yeah.
And they do have to satisfy the mob, so to speak. They can't, because these people, when they get to be in their bonnet about saying they want blood, they want someone to pay for it. And so maybe these sports stars need to go, I get it why they go, well, I want the money, but that comes at a cost. It means you now can't go around going, ooh, 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 after fights and, making, doggy style shagging gestures against your opponent. He has to go, well, look, I can't have my cake and eat it. It's like
for someone like him. I don't want to call him lucky because he's earned everything that he's earned. Everything he's earned. Deserves everything. He's worked for everything that he's earned. Right? It was a good one. That's a new one. He's earned everything he's earned. You know what I mean? Right?
Never a truer word said, mate.
That's right. It's just like with reading out the names, right? I'm just saying as it is. He's earned everything he's earned, and that's all. Yeah. That's all there is to it. So he's not lucky, but he has, through his hard work, put himself in a position where, as you rightly said, he doesn't have to have BMW. He can go, okay, then. I still want to be controversial. I still want to say, he isn't being controversial on purpose. He's just saying stuff. It's probably part of the way he grew up and some of the I don't know, immature stuff. There's nothing wrong with what he said anyway, right?
Look, I don't use the term he used against Brunson or terms like that.
Really. No, nor do I. But in the context he used it,
no. But what I'm saying is, it's locker room talk, isn't it? Right? And when me, you, and we're out with the boys, hanging with the boys, Garbrandt's there.
Garbrandt, yeah.
Dillashaw's there with his top off. People say stuff for bravado, machismo, to try and get a laugh, to interact, and all this sort of stuff. And
take it for what it is.
There's no way when he's training at that, what's it called, city kickboxing or whatever.
That's right.
There's no way that him and Dan Hooker ain't saying stuff about, I don't know, Pearl Gonzalez's latest, Instagram post with her juggers out. I mean, this is just. It's not a sign of the real person or the real man. It's
just see it for what it is. Put it into context. See it for what it is. It's a fighter goading another fighter. That's it. That's what it is. It's all it is. It's pure. Yeah. Either you want to call it childish, immature, call it whatever you like. It actually doesn't mean anything. And victims of that horrible crime or whatever, I don't know all of them, but even some of them would just. Well, first off, they don't know it's happening. Most of them aren't going to be watching Israel Adesanya. This isn't. You've got to be careful what you say because you don't want to intentionally offend anyone. But he's not intentionally offending anyone apart from Brunson. So if Brunson's offended, then Brunson can go, I didn't like that, and he'll probably tell him, I don't care. Right? If that's not okay, then why is it okay to raw dog? Thing is, what's his name? Mike Perry's other half. Why is that all right? You've said this to me before over many things, right? It's about consistency, right? And the reaction to all these things and what people can and can't say is not consistent. That's it. It's not consistent.
It is obviously a very touch one because it's, obviously the terminology is a very...
but it's not real. He doesn't do that.
Not a very nice subject. But as you said earlier, he's not talking about that.
He's not talking about doing that.
In that regard, he's talking about it in a, sort of. Look, I do get why, like we said earlier, why some people would be upset, especially people who've been affected by something like that.
Yeah, of course, but he's not purposely being offensive to victims of that crime.
He's not trying to mock them. Like I say, context is everything. But anyway, we'll leave it there, I suppose.
Yeah, all right.
Before BMW pull their deal with us and stop sponsoring the show.
I don't want it. Take it. I don't want it. I've earned what I've earned, and
you have earned what you earned. Yeah. Nothing.
So I don't need it. I don't want it. BMW off, right? So look, that's the end of it. That was UFC 259, and let's go. Let's leave it at that. I'll see you later, and
nice.
I'll see you for chats on UFC Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, because I tell you what. That's got some interesting chat and all.
Yeah, it definitely has.
And, that fight certainly has.
Yeah, I mean,
and just as a little teaser for you too, but also for the listeners, just think about this. The next time we come on air and have a chat, we're going to be chatting about Aldrich versus Casey.
What?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to rewatch it.
For flip's sake.
What?
You're going to rewatch it for the... Oh, okay. I see. I thought you said you didn't watch it. You're going to rewatch it in preparation. I don't blame you.
Yeah, rewatch it, dissect some of the techniques. And don't forget, after that, we've also got Brunson versus Holland. And that is, for me, I'm going to go off on that. I'm going to go mental.
Yeah, that's what people expect. That's what they want. And this is brilliant that we've got stuff to chat about. There's always stuff to chat about, isn't there?
And Miocic and Ngannou too. That's got some good stuff on it and all. So, yeah, brilliant. All right, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. See you later, mate.